Welcome everyone. I'm Laura from Agrello, and today I'll be talking about HR, personnel contracts, and how you can work smartly with your contracts and documents. So during the last year, we've been helping clients out a lot with topics in the HR field. So we had the idea to talk about some of the challenges that many HR managers and specialists face on a daily basis. I'm going to tell you a couple of stories about Smarten Logistics, a well-known logistics provider in the Baltics, and Southwestern Ventures, who create career and entrepreneurial opportunities for young people in Europe, and how they save time and stress using a contract management system. I'm also going to show you in practice how to draw up contracts and send them out to employees for signing. If you have any questions during the webinar, please do write them in the chat, and my wonderful assistants can answer them behind the scenes. And you might have noticed the little red button there. We are recording today's webinar, so later you have the opportunity to review the parts you found interesting, and you can share it with your colleagues. So, what on earth is Agrello? Agrello is a risk management tool that provides visibility and clarity throughout your contracting process and helps to reduce your manual work. When we started to take a closer look at how contracts are created today, a well-known fact quickly became clear. People are comfortable by nature. And what's the most convenient way to draw up a new contract? Isn't it taking a previous contract and changing the old person's data to the new person's data? I think some of us have used this method a few times. It's not such an issue, but it becomes an issue when the wrong person's address or bank details are entered, right? Then it's more than a little bit of an issue. Your situation gets even worse if you need to make contracts for 10, 50 people at the same time. None of us were created to be robots, but for some reason, if we can't find a better solution for routine work, we start doing it manually. In most of the civilized world, contracts are concluded digitally. But if you've already done the work and sent the contract by email, then you'll have to wait. Sending out a contract by email is so everyday, and we all do it. But the next moment, it's out of our control and in a black hole. Has the other party received the contract? Was it lost? Has it already been signed, but the other party hasn't gotten back round to sending it back yet? Will they even be able to find the time to sign? Do they have time to sit on the computer, sign it, email it back? All of those things are out of our control. When sending a couple of contracts, you have an overview of the status. But if there are several or more contracts, the overview of the entire process can become blurred. And if the first part is complete, then you need to start to get your manager to sign and approve the document. And a few more emails are all sent so that all parties can receive the signed contract. The last step is to file the contract, which can then be a faff of finding the right folder and making sure it's filed away safely in a folder with all the right access permissions, so the office junior doesn't access John from accounting's salary and bank details. So Actually, that whole process was kind of complicated and long. And although it was digital, it wasn't that really easy or fast. Not to mention that, as I said, the contract contains super important information that governs how we work on a daily basis, and it needs to be dealt with quickly and sensitively. And if we come back to my first idea, that people are not robots, all of this work and various activities seem very robotic. And that is Eve laughing at us all for this robotic work. And no matter how much ChatGPT tries to creep into our lives, we're not robots. So now it's time for a couple of stories. And everyone loves a good success story to hear how we've helped out some awesome customers. So, is everyone sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. Our first story today is from Southwestern Ventures. As I said, they provide sales, training, and entrepreneurship experiences for young people in Europe. There, they prepare contracts and send them out for signing. And they deal with a variety of different types of contracts, such as agency, service, and employment contracts. The problem was that all contracts were managed in Google Drive, and to collect signatures, each contract had to be prepared, individually emailed to the signer, where it would go into the black hole of emails, and the team had to wait for a signed copy to be returned. Much like the common scenario I described above that teams all around the world face every day. This was too time-consuming, stressful, and it made processes inefficient and slow. So Southwestern Ventures' main goal was to save time on sending contracts back and forth and to improve their efficiency. So now with Agrello, the team prepares the contract in PDF format, uploads it to the platform, specifies the signers, and sends it out for signing. Depending on the contract, they can also add viewers to the document, such as the accountant or any other employees who need to be informed. And they can also add reminders of the key dates of the contract, such as when it needs to be reviewed, renewed, or when it ends. And the system also allows the team to remind anyone who hasn't signed. Now, there are no more email black holes, as Agrello's dashboard view gives an overview of the signing status. Contracts don't get lost, and everything is clear, visible, and traceable. So now onto our second story, which is from Smarten Logistics, one of the largest logistics providers in the Baltics. Smarten was founded 30 years ago, and they employ more than 300 people, which is quite a lot. So with such a volume of employees, employment contracts are concluded and renewed pretty often. And in August last year, an update to the Estonian Employment Contracts Act entered into force. Now, because I've got an international audience, I'm not going to go into details, but what I can say is that it provided a final push for companies to update their historic employment contracts, which is what Smarten decided to do. But as you can imagine, it's completely unreasonable to start updating 300 contracts manually. And since Smarten is a 30-year-old company, employee contracts have been concluded at very different times, the contracts aren't uniform, and as I said, with the changes to the Employment Contracts Act, they required certain changes. and manually reviewing them one by one, correcting them one by one with amendments would have taken far too much time. So it was decided new revisions would be made to all the employment contracts, and so all of these contracts needed to be prepared, and some solution was needed there. And a solution to a couple of the other problems had arisen. For example, in summer, Smarten employs a large number of seasonal workers, and in that time, dozens of employment contracts are concluded per month. Due to the nature of warehouse work, this means a lot of staff turnover. So the preparation of contracts is a daily task in the HR department. And their main concern was that it took way too much time to prepare these contracts. And due to the volume of contracts itself, sending all of them back and forth via email, trying to monitor their status, didn't give a super clear overview of what was signed by whom and which documents weren't signed. And it also took a lot of organization and admin to save every contract in the right folders. So, Smarten now uses Agrello's bulk creation feature for any bulk contracts that need to be made when large numbers of contracts are renewed at the same time, just like with renewal due to the changes in the law. With those employment contract updates, since there were bilingual contract templates, those did require little setup and testing in advance, but the time required for that was not comparable to the manual preparation of the 300 contracts. Marie-Lise Krem, Smarten's head of HR, said if the initial data is correct and available in Excel, further contract creation is incredibly fast and easy. Marie-Lise didn't even want to imagine the massive work of updating the contracts because such manual work would have forced the entire HR department to prepare contracts for an entire week. And for their everyday contracts, Smarten now uses the functionality of Agrello's reusable contract templates to sign new employment contracts. Since they have several variants of employment contracts, 6 to 7 different templates have been uploaded to Agrello. 2 personnel specialists prepare employment contracts, and Marie-Lise signs them. And the Agrello workspace provides a clear overview of the entire process and status of contracts. They no longer have to send documents back and forth via email, manually keep track of signatures, or waste time saving them in the right folders. The signing process is convenient, and the overview of all documents is simple and clear. So now you've had a little bit of background, and so that my stories don't seem too theoretical, I'm now going to jump into the platform and show you Agrello's functionality in real life. And we're going to kind of play through some scenarios of how it can solve some of your HR department's pains and issues. So I'm going to jump over here. So here is, oh, sorry everyone if I kind of look like I'm looking off into the distance now. I'm using 2 screens, but I'll try and keep my eyes on the camera a bit more. Yeah, so here we've got the Agrello home screen. So this is kind of a little bit of what it will look like when you first sign in. It might look a bit more blank than this, but this is the general idea. So here we have the home screen with 2 little boxes here. So we have the pink box with the upcoming document reminders, So this is kind of a little hub of all of your reminders that you put on contracts, and I will show you how to set reminders in a second. And we also have a box here with the overview of your company's workspace and all of the folders within the workspace. So just a little explainer, I guess. Agrello is organized into a workspace, and then underneath that there are folders, and underneath folders you can have 2 levels of subfolders. So that's how everything's kind of organized. So then if we jump into our company workspace, here we have Acme Corp. Had a recent interaction with a lead the other day about what Acme stands for. Apparently it's a company that makes everything. So that's what we're working with today, a company that makes everything. So here we have the overview of the folders. So we can see I've kind of set it up for the HR department, kind of with the amendments and the company rules and employment agreements. But you know, it's kind of your own workspace to make yourself. So all of your documents can go in there, not just HR. And then we also have our team tab over here. So Agrello's standard package comes with 3 users. And they kind of all have different roles. So the first role is administrator, which is kind of, you know, the overall administrator. And they can see and do everything. Oh, sorry, owners. Owners can see and do everything. Administrators can also see and do everything, but the difference is a bit subtle in that owners can control the billing, administrators can't. And we also have members, which are kind of, so they're invited to the workspace, but then they can be invited to specific folders. So either all folders, no folders, or some folders, basically. So yeah, here we have that. So I guess let's just jump into the actual demo. So the first thing I'm going to kind of go through is kind of creating a one-off document. So for example, say you've just, you know, you've created a document yourself and you just need to like pop it in for signing. So say, for example, you can see my all of my testings here. So say we want to make a promotion letter for Joe, because Joe's being promoted, and you know, we've drafted it up in Word or in Google Docs or wherever, and we just want to pop it in for signing. So to do that, we click on this green button here, create new, and document. And then our documents will pop up. Here I've got HR documents, and here's our lovely job promotion letter for Joe. And it will pop up here. We can kind of zoom in here and do a little review. So we can see, okay, congratulations, relocation, well, thanks for your contribution to Acme. And okay, it looks like I need to sign it. So let's add a signature field here, which is super simple. I can add it here and I can drag it around anywhere, but it kind of looks like it needs to go here. So we'll pop it there and click Save Fields. I'm hoping this is making sense to everybody. Like I said, if you have a question, just pop them in the chat for my lovely behind the scenes elves to answer. Yeah, so here we have the adding of the signature field. So now we've got it up here. We can either type in some email, or I can add myself as a signer, which is what I'm going to do. So I can add myself. Now it's popped up with the publish button. So now I can publish the document. And now that's done, I can go ahead and sign. So go ahead and sign with the Agrello signature. We have a couple of other supports here for a couple of Estonian, Baltics countries here, but for now we're just going to slightly ignore those and just sign with the Agrello signature. So click sign, wait a second, and amazing, we've signed the document. So that's kind of the process flow for the kind of individually signing the documents. And as I said before, in that lovely pink box that I was showing, we can also add reminders. So here we can add a reminder, let's say, webinar complete. Right. For tomorrow. So that's how you add reminders to your contracts as well. And here as well, we can now see this overview screen. So we have everything in drafts, which is everything you're kind of still working on. In progress shows the documents that you are either have been published and that are waiting for their signatures, or where someone's partially signed and like the other party hasn't signed yet. And signed is pretty self-explanatory. And we also have a few, I think, here with the permissions, with the folders. So as I said, say I don't want John from accounting to be able to see all of these precious employee amendments. So we can add some permissions here, either as editors or viewers. And I think those are also slightly self-explanatory, but editors can kind of do everything and add documents and download things and delete things, but viewers can only view the documents and download them as well. So that is our job promotion letter for Joe. Done. So now I'm going to go ahead and give you a show of the or a demo of the bulk creation feature. So the bulk creation feature ultimately starts off with a template. So I'll now show you kind of the template format. So in your text editor, your Word or your Google Docs or wherever you prefer, you can, to create a template from Agrello, you then go through, and wherever you want a fillable field to appear in Agrello, you then add in curly brackets. So you can see here, I've marked out all of the fields in our employment contract where we want there to be fields that either we can fill in or the employee themselves can fill in. So, and then continuing on with the bulk creation process, as we kind of alluded to with Marie-Lise's comments about Excel, you then need an Excel with all of your data for your employees or whoever mapped out, aligning to your fillable fields. So here we have the employment contract number, name, ID code, etc. And also to the Excel, you need to add the employee email or the emails of the signers, so the system knows who the signers are. So we can jump in here and we will create a new template. So we'll jump in, create the new template by uploading it from our files. And then here we can see our fillable fields have now been mapped over here. And the next step is to add a signature field or signature fields. So that's kind of the same process as adding the signature fields for the one-off. And you just click and drag. save the field, and add another one, and save the field. So we've now created our template, and we can then go through here. Again, there's some kind of Estonian Baltic formats here. We're just gonna, kind of skip over those and go to bulk create the PDF documents. And to do this, we take our Excel that we had here, grab it in our files, open it, and then here we have assigning the signer emails. So this is why you need your emails in the Excel. And we'll assign them here, employee, employer, and click continue. And now we've got our mapped data. So you can see here it's pretty easy to do this. You just kind of, okay, employee name, employee ID code, employee address, and employee start date. And then we click continue. We have the option to give a dynamic document name. So that's any of the fields, basically. And here I'm just going to choose kind of the most logical one, which is the employee name. And we click submit. And our documents are scheduled for creation. So sometimes it does take a second, but usually it's pretty instant. So you can see here, I have everyone's. And what I'll do is I'll jump in. Okay, so I want to send an employment contract to Harry. Let's just quickly check that everything's fine there. Okay, we've got this, right? We can even see in the fields themselves if everything's okay. So I could even like add Harry's last name if I want. So we can edit those if we wanted to. And then we can send it out for signing. So we'll click the send for signing. Now we have the invitation message. So we can say like, hey, Harry, please sign. Don't read, just sign. Smiley face. And then we'll click continue. And we can see it's now in the in progress view. Just oops, okay. And awesome, let's give it a refresh, and Harry signed it. So as you can see that I was not keeping account of the seconds that took, but there was no faffing about with emails, wondering if Harry had signed it yet. It was all done there and then. And then as you can sign it yourself as well, as we just saw in the last example with Joe's employment contract. So yeah, that's how easy it is to create 10 employment contracts at once. I can also show you as well these levels of subfolders that I was talking about. So now what I can do is awesome, like I've got Harry's employment contract, and now I can move it to his personnel file. So that process looks like this. You go on select, you then click move documents, go to employment agreements, or whichever folder, and then you can move it to whichever folder you want. And click confirm. And it's been moved to Harry's personnel file. And I can see that I need to sign it. So the last little thing I wanted to show you, which is a very nifty feature we've recently introduced, is something we're calling signing signed documents. So this is kind of a cross-compatibility feature, in that if someone sends you a document that's signed from another service, then we will allow you to sign it with Agrello, so you can kind of keep all of your signed documents within Agrello as well. So to do this, it's a similar process to the signing the one-off document, but you go into document, you grab up whichever thing has already been signed, you open it up, and then our system will automatically detect that there are already signatures in that document, and it asks if we want to keep the signatures or if we want to get rid of them. So we want to keep them, and we can see here, okay, that it was signed with Dropbox, okay, and then we can just add a signature field ourselves. Save the field, and I can, invite anybody I want here, or just myself. For this purposes, we'll do just myself, and I can go ahead and sign immediately, just like we did before. So that's kind of the the end of my little feature demo, product demo. So I guess we'll jump back to the presentation. And yeah, so as I was kind of alluding to in the demo, it kind of works the same way with all sorts of contracts. And specifically for HR, although recruitment and the initial contract creation might be quite exciting and shiny, real value can actually come from using a system such as ours to update your contracts throughout your employee's life cycle. So for example, with Smarten, the changes to the employment laws and the subsequent amendments and work they had to do for that was a key trigger for them to look over the IT systems. So I hope that you've kind of gained some thoughts, good ideas from today's webinar on how to do your work a little better in the future. And I kind of want to bring out a couple of takeaways as well. The first one is to think about how you currently organize your work, as I said, whether it would be wise to make some activities a bit more automatic, a little bit more efficient. And new technologies can seem scary or hard to use at first, but the difference can be immense. Just think of how Smarten saved 40+ hours of work. And you don't always have to implement new systems into your entire company. You can start with a smaller team within the company, and then if the solutions are good, these can always be expanded. So now it's question time. You can either activate your microphone and ask, or you can write in the chat. Do we have any questions? Wonderful assistants. Okay, you're all feeling shy. That's okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, one of the common questions that we do get, I'll say one of the FAQs is the price. So for that, it's €69 per month plus VAT, and that's for your 3 users. And then kind of anything above that is a bit extra. So that's one of the common questions. Okay, everyone's feeling a bit shy, so I'll move on. Yeah, so thank you for coming to the webinar. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. A recording is going to be sent out via email, so do look out for that. And if you if you want to ask me some questions, you know, in private, you can email me or call me on the phone with those contact details. So thank you, everyone.